Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon here on YouTube, and then I post it up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. Okay. I would like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. I'll put that down in the description. They're an online therapy company. So if you are anywhere in the world, they're international. If you are anywhere in the world and you want to get with a good therapist, go to BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez, and they will set you up with an American counselor here. You guys will have to figure out the time difference, but they're all licensed. They're all PhD level or master's level. If you are here in the US and you want to do online therapy and you want to be able to go off somewhere and get a therapist, then go to BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. You can do it from your car, from a park, from your house, whatever. Just be aware of your surroundings. Make sure nobody's listening. So BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. Thank you very much. Okay, let's dive into the questions. So, what can I do to help a child who is 8 and is starting to show signs of narcissistic behavior? Well, okay, guys, take a deep breath. Kids are egocentric, and I don't mean egocentric like me, I, more. Kids are egocentric in that they do think the world revolves around them. So it's a developmental thing. 8 years old, they're not going to be doing narcissistic behavior. This is developmental. So what you can do to help children to not go down that dark path is you teach them manners. And you hold expectations for them and you get them help where needed, but generally 8-year-olds, no, you don't want to start diagnosing people until their brains are fully developed, and their brains don't fully develop until late teens, early adulthood, sometimes late adulthood. It's like people start throwing around diagnoses, and it's like, you've got to understand developmental. Kids are very egocentric. Kids need to be taught how to do social graces, how to do things like that. So you want to guide them. You want to show them right from wrong. You want to show them expectations. Here's what I expect. I expect you to say please and thank you. And, don't get this attitude that it's owed to you, kind of thing. You teach them. So kids are not narcissistic. They are egocentric, which means the world revolves around them, but that's a developmental stage. So if you want to learn more about developmental stages, I would suggest looking up Ericksonian developmental stages, or, what Adler had developmental stages as well. So you just look to see where the kids are developmentally, and you teach them what is expected. Manners are huge. Now, narcissists think manners are chumps. People who have manners are chumps because they're into using people, and they don't think they need to say please or thank you or whatever. They've got a sense of entitlement. So if this child is showing no manners, you teach them manners and you let them know what is expected. And, if it's not being reinforced at home, if it's not your kid, it's somebody else's kid, like it's a niece or a nephew or whatever, and it's not being reinforced at home, you're kind of fighting an uphill battle, but do keep trying. So, so there's that. So you just teach them what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. And when they have unacceptable behavior, do not reward them. Do not. So there is that. Can you have low energy even after going no contact with an energy vampire? Is that common? Well, when we leave abusive relationships, toxic relationships, whether it's an energy vampire or flat out covert narcissist or overt narcissist or a covert narcissist or a communal narcissist or whatever, once we get away from them, they're still up here. So it's really important to evict them from your head. All of the lies, all of the mistaken beliefs, all of the mistaken thoughts that they shoved in there. It's really important to get rid of those because, even after we've gone no contact, they're still playing in our heads. They're still, the horrible things they said to us or the nasty things they did to us. Those are still kind of running around up there. So it's really important to either get with a good trauma therapist or get CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker and start working it. Start writing it out, start doing goodbye letters, kick them out of your head, evict them, raise the rent. Your worth is more. You have more value, more worth than to allow somebody like that to run rampant up here. So yeah, it can be exhausting healing from narcissistic trauma because we're constantly having to evict them. Nope, this is who I am. This is when you were saying all those horrible things, you were talking about yourself. So, that kind of thing. So yeah, it does take a lot of energy, and it takes time. And remember, it's a process, because when we leave an abusive relationship, we are having to grieve the loss of the illusion of who we thought we were in love with, because this was not real. They were mirroring us back to us. And when the mask slipped and their claws came out, it was a total shock and going, oh my God, where did that person go that I really love? Well, they were an illusion. They were never really there. So it's a grieving process, and it's an anger process, and it's a PTSD process, a CPTSD process. You're dealing with all this stuff. You're processing it through. It takes time. It does. It takes time, and it's not going to happen overnight. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So like I said, getting rid of an abuser is a marathon, not a sprint. And it gets easier the further away from them that you get. But when you first leave them, yeah, it's draining like nobody's business, because it's a brand new way of thinking. It's a brand new way of being. It's a brand new way of grieving, because you're grieving somebody who's still alive. You're grieving the loss of somebody who is still technically walking around out there, but they're not who they said they were. And that was an illusion that you fell in love with. So it's really important, and it's difficult. I'm not going to lie. It's difficult to let that go, but you got to let it go, because that was not real. The real them was the claws. So yeah, and it is draining. Absolutely. So give yourself at least a year. Give yourself at least a year. And if you're still having problems, definitely get with a good counselor. Okay, what is the percentage of energy vampires that make up the general population? Well, energy vampires are basically narcissists. So narcissists, I think, between 35 and 40%. So anytime you get trapped by a narcissist, and in particularly an energy draining narcissist, yeah, it's horrible. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. So it's, again, they're narcissistic. So it's 35 to 40%. The statistics say, 7 to 9%. But here's the deal. Narcissists don't go get help. Narcissists don't ever go get help. They're not willingly going to go. And if they do go, they'll go for 3 times and then they quit. So getting getting diagnosed is not documented, because they don't go. So the ones that do show up, 9%. But I'll tell you what, you look at the way people are behaving, it's closer to 35 to 40%, I think. So, yeah. So you got to guard your space. Don't put up with it. No. Wall of no. This is a boundary, If somebody tries to monopolize your time, you get the hell away from them. Seriously. It's like you are under no obligation. Fear, obligation, guilt. That's what these energy vampires work on. They try to make you feel guilty for not listening to their constant problems. And it's not your job. If you're at work and somebody's trying to, talk your ear off, either move away or point blank, I cannot listen to you right now. Please go away. I've got stuff I've got to do. Point blank. And they won't like it, but oh well. It's not your job to be their therapist. And that's what they look for. They want somebody to commiserate. Misery loves company. And so they want you to be as miserable as they are. So you put your earbuds in and you just keep working. So, or you're cornered at a party. Make an excuse. Oh, there's so-and-so, gotta go, or geez, I really gotta go to the bathroom, or whatever. You make an excuse and you get away from them. But yeah, I think it's closer to 35 to 40%. Absolutely. How would you address issues in the neighborhood with abusers, manipulators who are now on the HOA board and harass some, but have others who support them? Well, unfortunately, so yes, abusers are attracted to positions of power. We have talked about that. They are attracted to HOA boards. They are attracted to becoming therapists. They're attracted to being a doctor. They're attracted to being a lawyer. They're attracted to a judge. They're attracted to that police officer because it's positions of power, because they have power over people. Yes, on some HOA boards, you will get absolute, abject, no holds barred, out and out over narcissists. Absolutely. The only thing you can do is document like crazy and, consult an attorney, because the only thing the HOAs understand are lawsuits, apparently. So yeah, you document, you talk to an attorney, and you get enough documentation and talk to enough neighbors to try to get some change. And that's really all you can do. And vote them out. That's the only other thing you can do. But yeah, I don't like HOAs. I really don't. They're supposed to be there to uphold the county laws. And I suppose that's great, except that they don't. And they pick on some people and they don't pick on others. And they're irrational about some things. And if I had my way, I'd have a bed and breakfast on a beach somewhere with no HOA. Yep. So yeah. So basically documentation is going to be your best bet, and talking to other neighbors and seeing what they think, and consult an attorney. If enough of you get together, you get an attorney, things might change. So yeah, that happens. It absolutely does. Remember, they're attracted to power positions of power. Are there many people who don't need nor tolerate drama triangles, or most people do? What proportion would that be? I don't know what that proportion that would be. That would be a statistical thing. Healthy people do not tolerate drama triangles. Ain't nobody got time for that. Seriously. So oftentimes when somebody comes to me and they're reporting a lot of drama in their life and this, that, and the other thing, and they want to start sending me texts and, let me show you what this person said, I stop them cold and I go, it's not about this person. It's about you. Let's work on you stepping out of the drama triangle. So unhealthy people are the ones who love drama triangles. They live for it because it's exciting. It's drama. It's, and like I said, drama belongs on the stage or screen. That's it. So, only healthy people. Healthy people do not put up with that. We don't. We absolutely don't. There's plenty of healthy people out there that do not put up with drama triangles. The ones who put up with drama triangles are narcissists, the borderlines that are further down the spectrum, antisocial, psychopaths. Those are the ones that love the drama triangles because it's exciting. It's exciting. It keeps them, interested. They like roiling the pot. They do, because they get bored easily. So they like the drama triangles. So, again, you realize 35 to 40% of the population is disordered. That would also mean that 55% of the population is not. So, or 60%, 60 to 65% are not disordered. So that's good. So yeah, so most people know they don't put up with drama, but the ones that do put up with drama tend to attract other drama seekers to them so that they can all be dramatic together. So birds of a feather, you know what I'm saying? All right. Who do they enjoy annoying or hurting people? Who? What? Are they plain evil or just very broken souls? Okay. Why, I think, is what the question should have been. Why do they enjoy hurting or annoying people? Are they plain evil or just very broken souls? Yes, to both answers. So narcissists know absolutely what they're doing. They do. And energy vampires absolutely know that the person being subjected to their nonstop blah, 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 are bored to death and they just want to leave. It's narcissistic supply to them. It's a weird, twisted, this person doesn't like me and, and I'm just going to keep talking and blah, 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 and it's a weird, twisted way of getting narcissistic supply. So are they evil? Yes. Narcissists are evil. Absolutely. Psychopathy, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and sadistic. They are sadistic. They enjoy inflicting pain. Anyone who enjoys inflicting pain on another living being, another sentient being, whether that's an animal or a person, is evil. Period. There we go. I've said it. I've said it multiple times, but yeah, they are absolutely evil. They do know what they are doing. Are they a broken soul? I would have to say yes, but that's not a pass. That's not a pass. That is not a pass. And yes, they are evil. And yes, they do know what they are doing 110%. You cannot tell me that they don't, especially when they get that recognition smirk. So they've just landed something nasty, or they've just said something nasty, and then they just get that little, yeah, I just said something nasty. And they love it. And they're like snorting it up like cocaine. Seriously. So yeah, they know what they're doing. They absolutely know what they were doing. My dad would get this sick smile on his face right after he would hit me or right after he would try to abuse me in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, he knew what he was doing. Absolutely. And he didn't care. And they don't care. And they are evil. Absolutely. How in the heck are the majority of narcs so successful? Because nobody talks about narcissistic abuse. I mean, now we are. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of us out here on YouTube talking about narcissistic abuse. But in the past, previous to 10 years ago, how many people were talking about narcissistic abuse? Goose eggs. There was very few people talking about it. So the problem of it is that nobody trains anybody in this. The court system is not trained in this. I'm just going to keep saying that until somebody in the back that actually works with the court system hears me. They need to be trained in narcissistic abuse because that is the majority of what you're going to see in the family courts. Okay. Amicable divorces don't end up going to court. You know why? Because they're freaking amicable. So they're able to go fill out the paperwork, split it down the middle, figure out the custody, and go their own separate ways and live their own lives and co-parent. That does not happen with disordered people. I got mine. I'm going to take yours. I'm going to make sure that the kid hates you. I'm going to drag you through court every 2 years or every year. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. It should be obvious to the court systems, and it's not. And instead of having evaluators that are trained in domestic violence, intimate partner violence, etc., and understanding all of the signs and symptoms and everything that's going on, you got a bunch of wackadoodles that don't know their a-hole from a hole in the ground. So it's really annoying that the court system is not taught on this stuff. It was not being taught when I went through school in 2003 to 2005. Was not being taught. They wouldn't touch it with a 24,000 foot pole. They really wouldn't. We don't want to label. We don't want to, blah, 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 blah. You need to work with the perpetrators. And I'm like hell I do. So, it's like that can be somebody else's job. I work with the targets because I'm sick and tired of people being abused. So they don't teach it. It is not taught in schools thoroughly. It is obviously not taught to the police. Obviously, so they go on domestic violence calls. Who do they side with? The abuser. Why? Because the abuser seemingly is calm and cool and collected, whereas the target of abuse is a nervous freaking wreck. Okay? So who are they going to believe? They're going to believe the calm, cool, collected one, the psychopath, instead of the real victim or the real target. So police are not educated in this, obviously, based on several things that have happened I've seen in my career. So courts are not educated. They weren't talking about it in the schools. The reason they're so successful at this is because people don't have the knowledge to go, ooh, that's gaslighting. Oh, wait a minute. You're getting narcissistic supply off of this raging that you're doing in the office. Workers aren't educated on it. Kids are not educated on it. It's a lack of education, which is why I'm here. Because I'm going to be doing this until I'm too old to freaking talk, because I want people to get educated so they know what to look for, they know what to avoid, they know what's going on, so that they can effectively either sidestep it or get help immediately and not even have to deal with all the heartache. The reason they're so successful is because abuse breeds in the dark. It breeds with ignorance. That's what it does. It gets bigger and badder. The fewer people who know about it, that know what to look for, the more it's able to proliferate. So evil does that too. Oh, what a surprise. Evil and abuse both grow in the dark, huh? Wonder why. There you go. Sorry, I just got off on a tangent there, but yeah, so there that is. That's why they're so successful, because people turn a blind eye to it and they don't know what they're looking for. So people need to educate themselves on this. All right. What about when a narc is paranoid and accusing you and says it's their feelings? Okay. So remember, narcissists and malignant borderlines, okay, not down at the lower end, but when they've slid down and they enjoy what they're doing, they don't engage in logic. Okay. They really don't. So both the narcissist more the borderline, but both the narcissist and the borderline engage in emotional arguments. You cannot win an emotional argument. Well, I feel this way, therefore it's right. Well, but those are my feelings. Where's your proof? So they do the whole, you're cheating and that's just what I'm feeling. Again, where's your proof? So you bring it back to logic because they can't cope with that. And they'll keep trying to drag it into an emotional argument. And you're not going to win because they're going to go off into psychotic thinking. They are, or raging, or whatever they're going to do to try to win the argument. So remember, name calling is the refuge of the loser. It is. Because when a narcissist is losing an argument, or when a malignant borderline is losing an argument, what do? They resort to name calling or throwing around terms like we were talking about on Sunday. Well, you're a psychopath, you're a psychopath, you're this, you're that. It's name calling. And it's the refuge of the loser because they've lost the argument. You want to stick to logic. You want to stick to logic. Okay, you're accusing me of cheating. Where's your proof? Oh, you don't have any? Okay, well then I suggest you shut the bleep up. Seriously. So yeah, but it's my feelings. Well, that's great. I feel like I should be living in Tahiti. Wouldn't that be nice? Woo, that would be great. Anyway, it's an emotion. It's not a fact, but people confuse, especially disordered people, they confuse facts and emotions. Two very separate things. You can feel one thing, but the facts are this. So yeah, so when they try to do that, you stop it cold and you just be like, okay, I'm not playing this game. I'm leaving now. And you walk out, and they are not paranoid in that. Paranoia means they think everybody's out to get them. Okay. When somebody is accusing you of cheating, they're basically telling you either what they have already done or what they are thinking of doing. Narcissists project. So if a narcissist is constantly, if an abuser is constantly accusing you of cheating, you may want to go get tested for STDs because they're projecting and they're accusing you of the very thing that they're doing, because if they're doing it, then everybody's doing it. That's how they think. Remember, they cannot handle differing ways of doing things. So if they are doing something, they truly believe that everybody else around them is doing the exact same thing. Well, everybody cheats. Everybody lies. That's what they say, because that's what they're doing. So there we go. All right. Oh, wow. We have the right to push them out of our space. They do it over and over in spite of my medical issues. Yeah. So you have the right to boundaries, no matter what your medical issues are, no matter what's going on. If somebody is abusive, you get them out. If you are an adult and you are being abused, please get a hold of Adult Protective Services. Absolutely. If you are a child and you're being abused and you're listening to this, because you shouldn't be, but if somebody is, you tell as many adults as you possibly can. Get eyes on it. Get eyes on it. Tell teachers, tell principals, because they're mandated reporters. Whether they'll actually do what they're supposed to or not is a ginormous question, because nobody did when I was growing up. But yeah, so you get as many eyes on it as possible. Yes, you have the right to kick them out of your space. You do not have to put up with abuse. Let me say that again. You do not have to put up with disrespect or abuse, or either. You don't. You don't have to. You don't. I give you permission not to. It's okay. You don't have to put up with it. And whatever reaction they're going to have to you pushing them out of your life, that's their problem. You're not the jackass whisperer. It's not your job to fix them, because they're unfixable. When somebody has slid into malignancy and enjoys harming and enjoys hurting, you cannot fix them because you did not break them. So yes, you have the right to shove them out of your life. Absolutely. Have I been wrong to fire a warning shot to say something as a last chance? Okay. So here's the thing. Narcissists poke to get you to tell them what you're going to do. So firing a last warning shot. Well, I'm going to do this if you do that. I'm going to leave if you do this. Well, you just told them what you're going to do. You've given yourself away. Now they're looking. Well, do they have a bank account out there somewhere? Do they have a car? Where's all the important documentation? Where are they hiding it? That's what they do. So stop telling them what you're going to do. A last warning shot. So here's the thing. A warning shot across the bow is generally for somebody who has either, how do I explain this? They have not consistently abused, okay? It may not be somebody that's close to you, but a warning shot across the bow is if somebody is giving behavior that is unacceptable, you basically let them know, this is it, I'm not putting up with this. And it's usually for people that you're not involved with. Now, if you're in an abusive relationship and you're telling them, okay, this is your last chance, this is a warning shot across the bow, how many times have you given them warning shots across the bow? Right? And especially if you're like, I'm going to leave if you keep doing this. Okay, well, now you've just told them what your plan is. Great. They're going to make sure you don't have enough money to do it. Every single time. Oh, it drives me crazy. Okay. Working with intimate victims, partners of intimate violence victims, targets. When they do that to try to shock the abuser into changing, they're not going to change. They're showing you who they are. They've been showing you who they are. Believe them the very first time. You don't need 20 different examples of them being abusive, okay? Once should do it. So, it's like they say, I'm going to leave because they're hoping to shock them into becoming that love bombing person again. And maybe that worked once or twice, but the love bomb gets shorter and shorter and shorter, and the abuse gets longer and longer and longer. So a warning shot across the bow would be like, okay, let's say you're in a job situation and you've got a boss who's crazy and is blowing up and, doing whatever. A warning shot across the bow would be, wow, HR would find this conversation really interesting. That's a warning shot across the bow. You're basically letting them know HR has been alerted to this. I've been ongoing talking to them. They're going to find this conversation really interesting. And generally, they're cowards. They'll back down. Unless, of course, they've got a position of power over you, and then they'll fire you or do whatever, in which case then you sue them for wrongful, termination. So, anyway, the point being is, within an abusive relationship, they should know what your boundaries are because you guys should have already, okay, back up. In a healthy relationship, boundaries are talked about. Boundaries are respected. Okay. In an unhealthy relationship, boundaries are not talked about. The abuser goes and crosses every single boundary. This person tries to put up boundaries and then they mow over them. Okay. And then in desperation, the person goes, I'm going to leave if you don't, whatever, or let me just do this one warning shot across the bow. And then they go, great, now I know what you're up to. And then they foil you leaving. So targets of abuse will tell the partner, hoping to wake them up. And then, of course, the partner then goes on a rampage to make sure they don't have enough money. Suddenly has all these spending things going on. There's not enough money. Because they do that on purpose. They don't want you to have enough money to get an attorney. They just don't. So, or they try to find where you've gotten another bank account or whatever. So, no, shots across the bow are for here's the boundary, don't cross it. Usually for not in a relationship. With an abuser, you've already told them what your boundaries are. You've already told them this is not okay. If they're doing deal breakers, bye, we're done. One deal breaker and you should be out. So, now, okay, in a healthy relationship, let's say somebody crossed a boundary, but they didn't know it was a boundary. That's when you would say, this is a boundary. Okay, so that would be a shot across the bow. This is a boundary, and if this continues, this will be the consequence. But with an abusive relationship where there's been multiple boundary crossings by the abuser, one last chance? Why? No, you've already told them what your boundaries are. If they're doing deal breakers, get the hell out. Save yourself. So yeah, I hope that wasn't too confusing. Okay. My mom is a communal dark triad that grooms children. Her abuse is cloaked in loving behavior. Can you discuss the ways these types are harmful and the effect they can have on children? That would be a whole show, I think. So let's do another communal narcissist one in a couple of weeks. So I'll make that into an entire show because, we're going to need to talk about brainwashing and how it affects kids and all that sort of good stuff. Can you do a show on Narc/BPD mothers who lie to everyone, including the child, about who their father is. Whoa. Dang. Okay. Yeah. It'll give me a few weeks because those two are going to be... Actually, you know what? I'm going to include the lying about who the father is. I'm going to include that in this week's show. Because remember, I'm talking about the ways they keep us stuck. And the lies they tell and why they get harems and all that sort of good stuff. So I will include that in this week's show. So the other one about the communal narcissist, that's going to be a couple of weeks from now. But the one about the parents who lie about who the mother or the father is or whatever, yeah, I'll include that in this week's show. How do you know if you and your husband are having trauma responses and triggering each other and then basically replaying your past abuse, or if one of you is actually an abuser? Okay, so trauma responses require that you know what your trauma triggers are. When two people with PTSD, CPTSD, get together, they often trigger each other unintentionally. So I would strongly suggest getting with a trauma therapist to figure out what your triggers are. And he or she needs to be in therapy as well to figure out what their triggers are. Now, if they're a narcissist, they won't go. They'll make an excuse, don't have the money, don't have the time, blah, 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 and they won't go. If they don't go to therapy, there's your red flag. Now, if they do go to therapy and they work through it all, and then you've both got your triggers and you talk about it and are very mindful about not triggering each other, then you're okay. But if they intentionally take that information and trigger you, Houston, you got a problem. So yeah, that would be my suggestion. Could you please talk a bit about autism and narcissism? Mom and I have been figuring out for months that I'm autistic and almost a senior citizen. Could this be why I attract narcissists? Yes, narcissists are very attracted to autism spectrum. Again, because autism has a different way of thinking, and autism doesn't allow the person to think like a person who doesn't have autism. Narcissists take advantage of that. Absolutely. Narcissists take advantage of that to gaslight, to confuse, to rip away identity, to, whatever. So yeah, they do. They go after people with autism. They go after people with borderline. They go after anybody that they think they can easily manipulate. That's who they go after. So yeah, they do. They absolutely do target people with autism. I have seen it. So yeah. Absolutely. All right, my loves, that's all the time I've got. Ooh, I've gone over. All right, so have a great week. And this week, we are going to talk about the lies they tell. We're going to talk about why they get harems together, why they lie about paternity or maternity. They do that too. How they keep us stuck. So how do they keep us stuck? With lies. Spoiler alert, lies. All right, guys, have a great week, and I will talk to you on Sunday. Bye.